What's happening? Big Shay reporting for duty, and we have to get into this. I hate to just keep on this political stuff as of late, but these are some things that are really mind blowing, bro. I want to take us to Mr. James O'Brien, who is the host of Leading British Conversations, which used to be the London Broadcasting Company. But this is way in the UK. Way in the UK. In England. Talking about the foolishness and hypocrisy of what's going on in America. Now, that's crazy, because that's like our big brother, regardless of how you want to look at it. All of the Europeans in this country who, and I just say this in factuality. I'm not saying this to be mean or anything like that, but this is where most of your Europeans that are in this country talking about America being their country and patriotism and American pride, this is where they come from. Because as we all know, this is not their country. This country was stolen from the natives, and slaves were used to build this country. I'm not saying that to promote hate, to promote violence. It's just a fact. And if you can't deal with that or agree with that, then you have a serious problem with reality and logic. But this is where many of them come from. The American Revolution, this is who it was fought against. The British. You understand what I'm saying? So they kind of keep an eye on us and some of the things that we do, because in a sense, America is birthed from them. They left from there to come here. And many quote unquote Americans who are in this country now are either from there or from European countries even further east, such as, I can't even name them all, but people are from all over Europe. All over Europe. Whether it be Germany, whether it be Russia, whether it be even places like Ireland, Greenland, North, South, East, Europe, everywhere. There's no such thing really as Americans. This country is made of and full of immigrants. It should be the world's country. Now, should people have to go through the proper processes to obtain social security numbers and add to the economy and pay some of the unfair taxes that we all pay? Yes, I agree with that. There's no problem with that. If you want to be an American, you need to get messed over and put into the rat race like the rest of us. But I believe that it should be open and available to whoever wants to come, being that this is not our country. This is not America. And I mean, it's probably more my country than it is other people's country. And the only reason I say that is because I have Indian descent. And I'm not trying to say that as if I want to take ownership of the country and say, this is my country, blah, blah, blah. Nah, this is God's land. So I'm not even saying that. But it's just, it's amazing that a lot of times when you don't know your own history, come to find out, it's probably more of your country than the people who are actually running around here claiming that it's their country. You get what I'm saying? My father used to always talk about his French Indian heritage. So, I mean, I'm quite sure that I have people that are directly from this country before certain Europeans came in and slaughtered the natives and then enslaved black folks and made them build the country's foundational economy for them. I'm just speaking facts. I'm not saying this because I want to see certain people punished, because I want to see certain people die, because I want to see certain people go to hell. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just being realistic. This should, if you're being realistic also, this should give you make you have some type of compassion and sympathy for some of your words, and not have such a haughty, highbrowed view of who you think you are in this country. This is not your country to dictate who belongs here and who doesn't. Most of the people who are in charge of this country right now do not belong in this country. And I just do not like the fact that many people just think that because enough time passes by that we're supposed to forget that fact and just go along with the false illusion that they are putting out there for us to live according to. It's just, it's just not right. It's just not right. It's not godly. It's not Christian. It's not humane. So with that being said, UK, the big brother, they keep an eye on us, and some folks, I mean everybody, the whole world keeps an eye on us. You know what I mean? We have a lot going on over here to where we dictate a lot of things going on in the world because of how strong we've become with our economy. So the point of this is just talking about Jimmy Kimmel. I did not know this took place until a couple of days ago, probably last night. But Jimmy Kimmel, who is the host of his own late night show, is now being suspended, not for some comments that he made, but for repeating and playing some comments that Donald Trump made. Let's get into this, because this well-articulated, beautiful individual is going to articulate these things for me in a manner that's just going to kind of lay it out for me, and I'll break away to some other videos to kind of support some of our thoughts and theories and whatnot. But I just want to say, once again, I am not on any side of any party. I'm on God's side. I'm on the side of Jesus Christ. I'm on the side of equality. I'm on the side of fairness, love, compassion, common sense, logical thinking, rational thinking. It's like when Elijah was going up against the prophets of Baal. He said, whoever's on the Lord's side, you better get on this side. Who is on the Lord's side? I'm on the Lord's side. Do I agree with some things that Democrats say? Yes, I agree with a lot of their compassion for certain people and certain races and things of that nature. There's a lot of things, though, that I will never agree with from the Democratic side, because it directly goes against the scripture and the word of the true and living God. Do I agree with some things that Republicans say? Of course. Because many of them quote the Bible. Many of them have policies and things that go according to the word of God. But at the same time, I will never get behind the hatred that they invoke, the hatred that a lot of them speak with, the lack of compassion, and the apparent racism that some of them act with and make their decisions based on, and the way that they look down on certain groups. I will never agree with those things. So it just kind of amazes me how folks who claim to be Christian kind of agree with either side full-heartedly at any point in time. That's just not possible. It's not possible. Politics are made to govern and run societies and economies based on a fleshly way of thinking, a carnal-minded way of thinking. It's either about promoting profitability, making money, which they would do at any cost, or it's about giving people the power to do whatever they choose to do, no matter how immoral it is, in order to make them happy. That's why there's supposed to be no such thing as separation of church and state. Your country is supposed to be ran by God-fearing people, as the Bible tells us. However the king goes, however your king lives, that's how your economy is going to go. That's why in the days of Israel, it was always great for their king to be abiding by the words and the commands of the true and living God. When they did that, the country would prosper. When they didn't, they would be cursed and eventually be taken over by other countries due to their sins and immorality. So you can think about that however you want. But I'm on the Lord's side. So let's get into this beautiful brother's words, and we're going to go ahead and follow along, y'all.
Charlie Kirk, upon whom I have had something of a crash course in recent days, set up an organisation or set up a scheme called Professor Watch. Mm-hmm. Professor Watch, which was literally designed to encourage students to report members of the faculty at their academic institutions for well, I don't know for what, for unacceptable opinions.
Which is crazy, and I just want to say this shortly. These are the same group of people that promote free speech. He used to always act as though free speech was so important. Everyone should have free speech. But he's behind this group called Professor Watch, in which students would, I guess, quote unquote, turn in or report professors who spoke against their ideas or their ideologies. Anyone who spoke in any manner that was against the things that they believed in, they were there to report them, turn them in, try to have them suspended, fired. I'm quite sure, like you're seeing a lot of people doing right now who claim to want free speech so badly, but you see, and I'm not gonna lie to you. Some folks that I'm seeing saying the gruesome, I don't care how much you don't like Charlie Kirk, but watch your mouth with it. It just hurts my heart, like seeing these people like celebrating this man's death. Yeah, the man may have said a lot of crazy things, a lot of hateful things. But a lot of you who are against everything he said, you celebrate rappers who openly kill black folks all the time. I had a friend of mine make a post the other day that was comparing King Von to Charlie Kirk and talking about how you'll celebrate the birthday of King Von every single year, celebrate his death, celebrate his life. And this man was practically a serial killer who actually himself was responsible for the death of your own black brothers and sisters. But someone who spoke some words that you didn't agree with, you'll act as though some people can't be sad at his death. Now, there's a difference in being sad at his death and lifting him up to be some type of Christian martyr. Yeah, you have to draw the line with some of that type of stuff. Some people are going too far. But you're acting like no one is supposed to be sad that this man passed. People have a right to feel the way that they want to feel about this man if they're sad that he died. Some people may have a heart and compassion for him and are not lifting him up to be some type of martyr. I mean, there's not many, but some people may be. But as a culture, especially for black folks, there are so many murderers, thieves, gangsters, and shysters that you praise and worship and celebrate that destroy your community directly more than any of these other people who you can name or mention. I'm getting off track because I know we were talking about free speech and how these people are going against free speech. But what I was saying was, some of you, I could see why it's kind of easy for you to celebrate this man's death, because you all like the same rappers who talk about the dead that they have killed or that some of their friends have killed, which is just satanic and demonic to me. I cannot hear that type of stuff. Even if I was listening to rap music, I still would just be like, that would be just diabolical to me. It's one thing to be engaged in sinful activity, but to sit there and really rejoice over the murders of people, that's another type of bad evil that you're bringing upon yourself. That's a whole other level of evil that you're bringing upon yourself, to be celebrating murder, especially to those of your own community. But you'll listen to rappers who are sitting there making fun of the families and the friends of people who they have either killed or their gangs have been responsible for their deaths. So I see why some of you don't have any problem with celebrating this European man's death. You're used to it. You've been celebrating evil. You've been had hate and evil in your heart, even if it's against your own people. So yes, you're going to hate someone else of another race or culture as soon as you get a chance. But it's amazing how these people came up and made this group that is made to go hunt down these professors that don't agree with them, but yet they're trying to promote how this man was shot for his opinion. So we all know it's not, well, at least we're all supposed to know. We know that it's not okay to be murdered for your own opinion, but it's okay to be fired for it as well. To have your job hunted down. Like I said, some of you who are out here celebrating his murder, celebrating his death, I don't know, some of you may need to lose your job. Now, if you're just giving an opinion that doesn't agree with him, by no means should you be losing anything, not even any sleep. But if you are an individual who is sick enough to celebrate someone's murder, it's not like this dude was Adolf Hitler or something. It's not like this dude was the devil reincarnated. Yes, he had some devilish things that he may have said when it comes to lack of sympathy. I've heard the man out of his mouth say that he does not believe in empathy. He said, I heard that the difference between empathy and sympathy is being able to have some type of feeling towards people that you understand, that you identify with. Empathy is having some compassion and care for people or a situation that you have nothing to do with whatsoever. See, I could have nothing to do with someone or not even agree with them, but still have compassion for what they're going through. Because once they tell me about their plight, once they tell me about their oppression, once they tell me about their problems, I like to think that I can put myself in their shoes, see where they're coming from, and find compassion for them. Not just say, oh, I don't know what you're going through, so I really don't care about what you're going through. Yeah, I think that's an evil thing to say. The Bible teaches us to love our enemies, to feed our enemies, to give our enemies something to drink, something to eat, to clothe them. Which means even if you don't understand where they're coming from, it's your responsibility to put yourself in their shoes to see where they're coming from. But still, if you're someone who doesn't mind certain people being murdered for what you feel is unjust, I'm not too sure I want to work next to you, alongside of you. Because there's no telling where that evil in your brain stops at. What you think is acceptable and what you believe is unacceptable. There's no telling where that evil starts and stops at in your mind. And I'm not too sure that I want to be around that. So yeah, if you're out here saying some crazy stuff, celebrating someone's death, I don't want you working alongside of me either. But if all you're doing is giving your opinion on something, saying how you disagree with something, no one should have a right to make you lose your job behind that. The same freedom of speech should be allowed that these people are crying about, trying to say that Charlie Kirk was punished for, or judged for, or murdered for. And I don't really call it assassination. I did call it an assassination at first, just because at first you kind of think of assassinations due to the high level of difficulty that the assassin, quote unquote, assassination is carried out with. See, like if you just walk up to someone in the street and shoot them, I don't call that an assassination. But you usually think of something being an assassination when you bring in snipers, rifles, people from very, very far away shooting you off rooftops and building tops and stuff like that. But assassinations should more so be attributed to people of power, political type things. And yes, even though he did speak politics, this sounds like it was just someone who, I don't know. I may be wrong on that. But it's not like he's the president or anything. And I don't want to demean him or belittle what he was, but I mean, he was a YouTube podcaster host that Republicans used to prop up just because he echoed a lot of the things that they agree with, and he was a great speaker that could voice a lot of their opinions. But it's not like he had political power. You get what I'm saying? Yes, people listen to him, but people listen to Joe Rogan. People listen to any other type of podcaster who has a lot of followers or viewers. So I was calling it an assassination at first just because of how it took place, but I don't really think that that's what you would consider it. I know many people are going to call it that because they want to prop it up to be as great as they possibly could make it. But if you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. Let's get back into my boy James O'Brien.
And yet they have co-opted the idea, these people have co-opted the idea that they have their free speech being threatened at the moment. I don't know, I apologise for bringing this to your attention almost, but one of the most ludicrous human beings ever to draw breath, a chap called Sebastian Gorka, who you may have had the misfortune of coming across. He's even got a piece on the LBC website today making various claims about the importance of free speech being protected. And yet Donald Trump's administration is trying to shut down free speech in universities, shut down free speech on the streets of the United States of America, and now shut down free speech on television.
And we're going to talk about Trump, because Trump, I'm not just trying to pick on him and whatnot, because I want to speak on him with respect, because that is the president. So I want to be respectful. But just as an individual, I just want to speak on some things that are apparent. But these people only want you to have free speech as long as you're agreeing with what they're saying. The second that you start coming up with real logic, real ways to go against the things that they say and do, they want to get you out of here by any means necessary. By any means necessary. And even when we look at the young man who they say is responsible for Charlie Kirk's death, he came up in a Republican household, which you would have to know that's where he learned a lot of the love of guns, the love of his right to bear arms, and the attitude of, when people disagree with you, you get them out of here. A lot of people don't want to understand and comprehend that the American way is to kill when someone doesn't agree with you. You go back to Americans being taxed unfairly, as they thought, by Britain. What was the result of that? The Boston Tea Party. That was the first example of looting in this country. They went onto the ship, threw all the tea away, threw it all overboard, and they looted it, and then made it seem as though the Indians did it. So they were too scared to even show you and let you know where it was coming from. They dressed up as Indians to do it, so that someone else could get the blame for it. It's always a throwing a rock and hiding your hand when it comes to America. When they're going to all of these different countries, trying to take over these different countries and trying to put in different people of power that they want to lead and line up with things that they want to do in that different country. They'll execute the leader in that country, assassinate the leader in that country, and put in place their own puppet leader that's going to do everything that they want done in that country. That is the way of Americans. You look at the Europeans in this country. When they didn't like black folks, asking for equality, trying to eat at the same restaurants as them. Even if a black man is talking to a white woman, what would they do? They would have lynch mobs, hang these people, kill these people. Civil rights movement. The Civil War. See, when Europeans don't agree with each other, they kill each other. That's why people are always talking about black on black crime, and I agree with that. We're at a point now in society where black folks do have their own choices to not kill each other. I mean, they always have, but I'm saying we are at a point right now to where if black folks, if we are killing one another, that's just because you're choosing to. No one is making you kill each other. Yes, I do understand the neighborhoods that we live in are tore up. Yes, I do understand that the systems under which we live, the economies, the neighborhoods, they're bad. I do understand that is not by our doing. But you do have the power to not pick up a gun and go and kill your brother. There's no excuse for that. Especially when you're going and jumping on a microphone after that and singing about it, rapping about it. There's no excuse for that. But that is the American way. It's not a Christian country. It's not to love your enemies. It's not to forgive your enemies. It's not to treat your enemies with respect. The American way is to pick up arms and kill and go to war with your enemies when you do not agree with something. We saw that January 6th with the Capitol riots, when people lied and said that that they were cheated out of having Trump elected as the president. I hate to say it, but it was just a bunch of crybabies. Now, when you win the election, no one's saying that you cheated to win it, but when you lost, you figured that you were cheated out of that, and you figured that you had to do what is considered an act of war and go to a government bill. See, you'll cry about black folks in poor communities rioting and looting Targets and Walmarts or whatever other little stores that they loot, which I believe is is pointless as well. I'm with you on that. That's pointless. But you want to feel justified when you rush a Capitol building, a government building, which according to your own Constitution and American laws is considered an act of treason, in which every person who was involved in that riot is supposed to literally be executed. I'm not saying that I want them executed. I'm not saying that I want them killed, but that's high treason. According to American law, you are supposed to be executed, at the least imprisoned, at the least imprisoned. But that's the hypocrisy that takes place in this country, and they name call and try to and put things on different people, and people are always talking about the radical left, the radical right, the radical. People are just using a whole bunch of buzzwords to try to group people into different categories when you agree with this or when you don't agree with that. I just like to take every scenario and case on a case-by-case basis and just see the actions of the people that I'm talking about. But that takes patience. That takes logic. That takes common sense. And most people just want to act off of emotion or lies that they have been fed throughout their lifetime.
Stephen Colbert's show's already gone, and now Jimmy Kimmel's show has been suspended. Would you like to know for what? I've got this thing, right? There's part of me that my internal dialogue on a morning like this is largely, why are we talking about this? Is it really such a big deal? And you might be listening to this thinking, why is James going in on an American employment issues on an American broadcaster? And the answer is, and I think I'm a little bit frightened of confronting this face on, is the direction of traffic now is getting close to terrifying. This is what an American talk show host called Jimmy Kimmel has been suspended from his job for.
We had some,
and this is pathetic. This is pathetic. Watch this clip and see what all the hype is about.
new lows over the weekend with
Direction of traffic now is getting close to terrifying. This is what an American talk show host called Jimmy Kimmel has been suspended from his job for.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yeah.
Bro, this man didn't last 3 seconds into answering the question about how he feels about his quote-unquote friend being killed before he goes into talking about the trucks are over there for the construction that we're doing in the buildings that we've been waiting a long time to get done. But I'm here to tell you, some of these people in politics do not care about the individuals who are killed at different points in time. They just use these tragedies to further whatever type of politics or ideologies that they have that they want to push forward. But a lot of them are heartless. You won't even believe how heartless they are because you won't even think that something like that is humanly possible. But so many of these individuals are heartless, do not care at all, and will use any instance to just further whatever politics they're trying to push forward. That answer is ridiculous. You're talking about trucks and Come on, man.
Just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years, and it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction.
Come on.
Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish.
I saw that clip of Trump. I meant to play it out last week, but I forgot. And it was quite extraordinary. While his movement were in a form of purdah, they were going through incredibly public grief. His movement were doing that, and his key allies and supporters. He was given an opportunity to reflect upon what impact Charlie Kirk's murder had had on him, and he could barely acknowledge it before asking the reporters to look over there at some trucks that were delivering some bricks. And that was a joke there from Jimmy Kimmel.
So all this man did was play the clip of Trump's actual response. The insensitive actual response of the president, and he got mad about that. And see, this side will tell you, keep politics out of sports and everything else like that. Freedom of speech. But yet the second you do something that they don't like, they come after you. This is the same man, though, who when people were kneeling with Kaepernick during the NFL, he wanted people fired. They're always going after your job. See, they're always going after how you feed your families. When you don't agree with them, they want you to suffer. They want you to perish. They want your life to be hard. They want you to bow down to their ways. And now we're seeing that there's NFL teams that are doing moments of silence for Charlie Kirk before their games, just politicizing the whole event. And you see the teams that are not doing these moments of silence, you see people all in the comments talking about them, talking bad about them. But then these are the same people that when Kaepernick was kneeling for a real reason, for a real cause behind police brutality, didn't want politics in sports. They jump around to whatever benefits them. It's sickening because it's so visible, so clear to see. And I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about having a heart. If you were listening to your black players who were telling you, listen, our brothers and sisters in the streets are being murdered by police, then I would have no problem with listening to you when you say, hey man, our brother Charlie Kirk got shot and we're sad about it. But what's the first thing that you all said? You football players, you millionaires, oh yeah, you're really being oppressed, aren't you? That's what empathy is. That's what empathy is. The same thing that Charlie Kirk says that he does not believe in. And there's clips of it. You can look it up. He verbatim from his mouth said he doesn't believe in empathy. He thinks that it's a made-up word. But empathy is those football players who are looking at people in the streets, realizing those are some of the neighborhoods that I escaped from. Those are some of the type of people that I used to hang with. Those are some of the type of people who I still have little cousins who are in those neighborhoods. Family members who are in those neighborhoods. People that look up to me, that look just like me, that are in those neighborhoods, that are experiencing that same type of brutality from the police. But no, what do they say? Keep politics out of our sports. We just want to watch those black ball players play ball. We don't want to hear what they have to say about their families. We don't care. The type of black folks we like are the ones that agree with us. I hate to say it like that, but it's my job to speak on that. I just want to show you the lack of empathy, the lack of compassion, the lack of loving your neighbor, the lack of loving your enemy. And many people are only your enemies because they don't agree with you. They've never done you anything, but they just don't agree with you, and that's enough for you. I don't like that they don't agree with me, so they should not live.
I'm looking at the text messages being exchanged by the suspect in the case and his description of his father as having become very MAGA after the most recent election. And so you could loosely describe with some confidence the family from which the suspect has come as a MAGA family. They're certainly very into guns and that kind of thing. Again, apart from that, we know next to nothing, and yet immediately Donald Trump was trying to claim that the killer was representative of what they call, in quotes, the left, whatever that means. It means...
And see, Trump was sitting there just trying to hurry up and push more people towards violence, push more people towards revenge, push more people towards hate, just like he did on January 6th. But coming out and automatically quickly saying that the shooter of Charlie Kirk was from the left and this and that, when his background lies with the right. It lies with the Republicans. His father was very MAGA, which means make America great again, which means you want to go back to the days of enforcing what you want on people. And when people don't agree, you get them out of here by whatever means necessary. This is too easy to see. If you don't see these type of things, it's because you don't want to. You're blind. You want to believe what you want to believe. And there's so many folks that claim to be Christians. The Bible says there's many people who are going to say, Lord, Lord. But on Judgment Day, he's going to say, depart from me, you workers of iniquity. So how do you sit here with the hate in your heart that you know you have in your heart towards people that don't agree with you and think that Jesus Christ is going to save you? How? This is not examining yourself. You're not examining yourself. You're not considering thyself. You're not. And you can show folks scriptures, tell folks scripture, and the hate in their heart will override all the decency in which you speak with. And they will still just go with their move of how they were raised.
To me, generally, people who think that we should have a slightly fairer distribution of wealth, quite how that lends itself to murderous motivation, God only knows. Except, of course, it doesn't.
He said that's what a lot of people from the Democrats preach and promote. Now, yes, Democrats, they preach a lot of other foolish stuff as well, a lot of other sinful things as well. But for the most part, yeah, they want to distribute wealth. At least this is what they speak. Do the people in politics and in the office really truly mean it and believe it, or are they just trying to get votes? Who knows? Because I don't see many politicians on either side that do anything for the people once elected. But I'm talking about at least the people who, quote unquote, support this side of the Democrats. A lot of times they at least just say that they want equality for all, a distribution of wealth, for people to be on equal footings. And when you say things like this, the new buzzword for Republicans and people from the right to say is fascist. It's so foolish. It's just so foolish how they have a new buzzword every month that they use to try to demonize people. Like, their whole point, their whole game is to make up words, repeat them enough to where people gravitate to them, get a hold of them, and then use them as some type of slur against people who disagree with them. Or you're fascist, when many of them don't even know what fascist means. Fascist is the type of governments that Benito Mussolini and Adolf Hitler ran, a dictatorship. But see, you have many people from the Republican side that don't agree in equality because they want to keep the wealth that they have, when realistically they had a 300 to 400 year head start on wealth building because they built their wealth off the backs of slaves. Now, I'm not going to sit here and cry for repercussions and whine and complain about that, but they're definitely old. I'm just saying, in the sense of morality, they're definitely old. The Bible speaks of if you steal from a man, to pay him back. If you take from a man, to replace what you took from him. No one with any type of Christian common sense, with any type of business common sense, can sit there with a straight face and say that the ancestors of slaves are not owed something, even though this whole economy was built for hundreds of years off their free labor. Like, what are you talking about? Some of you want back pay at work when you find out that you were owed a raise that you didn't get. Some of you sue companies to get back pay. I forgot the word just that quick. I'm about to say repercussions. Man, what is the word? I just was saying the word. That is crazy. Restitutions. I done forgot. That's crazy. I forgot the word just that quick. But yes, that is back pay for the free labor given by slaves. So to fix your mouth and act as though you're supposed to keep all of your wealth and stay in your nice, fine neighborhoods, your nice, big houses. Reparations, that's the word. But to think that reparations are not owed, man, that's just crazy. Now, am I sitting here saying that I want people to have their homes stripped away? And I don't know, man. I don't want that, but I know something is owed. And a lot of times, even if you're not going to get reparations, people just want to hear you say that you know that your ancestors were wrong. But you know what many people are saying? Well, I never had a slave. Well, I never did it. Well, I never did that. Yeah, but you sit there and you do live off the benefits of what was done. So you can say what you want to. Now, is that every single European? No, because not every single European has money. Not every single European is rich. Not every single European person in this country looks like they come from a family that owned slaves. But there's enough that did. There's a large, great group of them that to this day live off of the money and the economical head start that they gained from slavery. There's no doubting it. There's no doubt about it. There's no other way around it. No other way around it.